You love to hear it when you hit the record button. Is everyone ready? I hope so. I've had 2 weeks of in between my cat attacking me and sending me. I'm literally the commoner who can be killed to the cat. I am the meme. I learned that, and to keep a long story, a dumb long story short, Lucia's former neighbor in the apartment complex she was living at, got real fighty at all of us for this dude literally got in my face and growled at me. So that was my last 14 days. How are you? It's time for more of that sweet, sweet Kingmaker. Thank you guys for your support on Patreon as we go back to everyone's favorite session, Road Trip. But till then, I'm going to get the D5 for the in-character reflection. Last time, we had a lot of kingdom turns. We experienced a golden age as we moved fully into what I should just start calling the soot scale vanishing. We've expanded very much. New roads, new buildings, new folks living in town, new adventures. Lots of RP over the past 2 weeks. The Kalira conundrum. And lots of other things as well. But if anyone wants to volunteer for who's going first.
I'd like to volunteer to go last again, because my reflection is going to lead into the text RP that Esker and Kato had in that channel. So
works for me. All right.
I can go first.
Yes. We've come back full circle. It's Ionia first once again.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Playing Ionia Essel, a mostly human occultist. So last session we took like months of kingdom turns, so I guess this would happen kind of somewhere in there.
Half a year. No, 8 months. 8 months, almost. Yeah, 2/3 of a year. We spent just
8/12 of a year.
Yeah.
Just,
4/6. 2/3. Yeah, 2/3. I was right.
We've been here for over a year now, and I fear the stolen lands are beginning to get to me. The air is cold. Ionia wraps her cloak around herself, keeping her arms tight against her body. The rain feels like needles against her face. I miss home. I know you've chosen this path for me for a reason, but I think you chose wrong. The moon hangs low in the sky, illuminating the bearded stone face staring back at her. She avoids his gaze. I don't belong here. I miss my father and mother. I miss Minoru. The dog approaches, slowly, placing the top of his head under her palm. A tear rolls down her face, making the wind bite harder. They're out there somewhere. I know they are. And instead of looking for them, I'm here. Doing what? Playing noble? Gallivanting around the stolen lands with the others like we own the place? Ionia scowls. Everything out here is trying to kill us, and we can barely even protect our citizens. Is this your idea of a joke? They're relying on us, and at every turn something is threatening us. Threatening them. She shouts, pointing vaguely toward the center of Ruston. The girl collapses to her knees, sobbing. The mud displaces under her weight, softening the fall. Her black hair clings to her face, heavy with moisture. After a moment, Minoru sits down next to her, leaning on her shoulder heavily. At the very least, she finds comfort in his warmth, as the rain washes away the tears.
Good enough for me. I wanted to ask, I started watching My Hero Academia yesterday. Is Minoru named after a character from My Hero Academia?
I have no idea. Dog Minoru is named after my friend's character, Minoru.
Which probably was.
Probably.
Yeah, which probably was named after My Hero Academia.
I learned something today. All right, cool.
And I learned that Ionia's one step from ditching this party and going home.
No, she's really not. It's just she just misses her family. It's just a moment of weakness, you know.
Mm. Just one.
Alrighty, fair enough. I take that hero point if anyone would like to volunteer as tribute for the next one.
Kato will go. Okay. No, Kalira, cool.
Alright. I play Kalira Ashling, and I'm a half-elf barbarian of the Superstitious Ilk. And reflecting on the past many kingdom turns, I've been instructing a group of young gnomish women, and the arts of raging. And I also want to make sure that this is a self-sustaining group. So as we do our, I have one watching each of the members of the council as a guard while they're in Restov, as well as 2 patrolling both day and night throughout the city, and also on the lookout for other women who are maybe downtrodden or who don't seem to have a place, sort of what the witches were doing. I figured that perhaps if these women realized that there was strength within them, within the anger they feel about the way the world has treated them, instead of using that to give up to some ridiculous demon or devil, they could use it to create their own strength and make future members to my group. I don't want to call it an order. We're not fucking knights. That's it.
Good enough. We'll take it. The hero point is yours, and
Not fucking knights. I love it. Not yet, anyway. We'll make a knight out of you someday, Clara.
Make a knight
What is this?
out
There
of
it is.
you.
This is Mulan. The hell?
I like how we all immediately went there. Good. Well,
The dark side of the moon.
Be Batman. I go
I really
straight.
and by the way, I really hated that line for some reason. It really bothered me that they why is the dark side of the moon that mysterious? It's just more moon over there, guys. It's not that mysterious.
All right.
Words of
It's just,
wisdom.
it's just more rock.
Even more moon. Well, anybody want to volunteer for next season?
Sure, Kato will go, though I don't have a fancy pants reflection prepared, so I'm just going to do the boilerplate here. I'm playing Kato Sicarius, the human Taldan noble. He is a level 8 character. He is a level 1 Eldori Sword Lord, a level 4 swashbuckler of the Rosslyn Bravo archetype. He is a level 2 monk of the Master of Many Styles archetype, which, for those who are new to the video, it allows Kato to actually start combat in a stance of his choosing. And then on his first turn, he can activate a second stance, but instead of switching stances, it actually fuses them together into a more perfect style. So that's what that does. And he is a level 1 fighter of the Weapon Master archetype as well. Picking up where the text RP sort of left off, and Sydney already kind of spoiled that she's got something aimed here. Kato is really psyched up about this road trip. The winter season has passed. It's been their first winter since the settlement had been fully established. We just recently got off just got through an imminent threat onto the people, and were able to sort of bunker down for the winter. There didn't seem to be much in the way of events that, or the winter was very uneventful. And that was in a good way. So a lot of state work and stuff was done, and the population has swollen, and now we have 2 brand new villages that kind of just popped up out of nowhere. We have Thornburg and Abadar's Rest, as well as one that we've built ourselves, which is the Sootscale. What did we call it?
The Sootscale Estate. I forgot. God.
As well as we've developed a watchtower around the old Sycamore, which meta speak here. Watchtowers can evolve into settlements as well. In fact, settlements often form up around a central point like a watchtower. So we are growing, and as ruler of this of Concordia, Cato believes that it's, important to meet his subjects, meet the people who are going to be putting their lives and their trust in his hands. So he is preparing the first annual Cato Sicarius Kingdom Road Trip. And yes, I say annual, so just, keep that in mind.
We're just gonna every March or so. As soon as the snows are done, we're going on a road trip.
To meet any new, to meet, to see the people.
Break.
Spring break.
Fair enough. All right.
With that said, yeah. So he's so Cato and Artoris had a bit of a text RP chat about this, and I'm starting off still in the temple, sort of at the end of that conversation is where Cato will be at the start of the session.
Alrighty, works for me. So then, by process of elimination, that means the penultimate reflection will be from Artoris Vilmire.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Full name treatment today.
Did it.
You are Chelaxian.
My reflection takes place right before the text RP with Cato, so this works well. I'm assuming you have seen the text RP, gentle viewer. Okay. The sun shined brightly over Concordia today as winter had at last relented in the proceeding. Outside the Temple of Abadar, the Arbiter floated about and observed the passers-by for suspicious behavior. He was no guard, but he proved to be an able alert system in the event of an emergency. Equally important, he served as both a stern and hopeful reminder that Abadar himself was monitoring the progress of these lands. Grinluke approached the temple and entered without incident, the well-oiled doors making little noise either opening or closing. He was expected, but early. As the noble half-orc took up a position of prayer in the main hall, the watchful inevitable rushed past without a word to a rear antechamber of the temple, where Artoris had once again begun finding most of his downtime being. His training away from the temple had finally taken root over the past few months, and he exuded a martial confidence lately that he had never known before in his life. With an unceremonious entry, the Arbiter relays without hesitation, "High Priest, Grinluke has arrived early for your meeting." Artoris was toiling away on new tax routes and tax master assignments, and without dropping his quill or turning his head, raised his left hand. "Thank you, my friend. I will be with him shortly." The Inquisitor then lowered his left hand, and with that, Arbiter departed as swiftly as he had entered, his hands getting more and more adept at managing the doors with every one of these entries and exits. The quill, meanwhile, continued away, and after he had finished his thought, and though it was not yet complete, Artoris looked proudly at his production. Since the Council had at last approved a level of taxation for Concordia, he had been perfecting the routes and obsessing over collection in his free time. It was a bittersweet feeling handing out the first taxmaster assignments and watching them nostalgia pulling him in the direction of longing to go with them, and ambition pulling hard the other way. The latest settlements that had grown on the first road were the grandest signs from Abadar yet that our land was blessed and succeeded. He thought back to the humble beginnings, a land of ruins, bandits, and hermits hiding away in shabby huts. Now look at us, he thought. The ruins are being rebuilt and stand stronger than ever. The bandits have been driven out before the might of Abadar's judgment. And the hermits are, well, high political advisors with a direct line to the king. Artoris shook his head. Admittedly, that last one feels a bit odd. With a slight shrug, the High Priest rises from his desk and goes to the door, beckoning his noble friend in. I play Artoris Vilmire, an Inquisitor of Abadar, level 8, like all of my friends here. And, travel domain now, Sanctified Slayer archetype, and I think that's everything.
Level 8, like all of his friends, and also as OBS now reflects as well, because I've finally caught up on that. What can I say except moving is tiresome? All right, take us home, Senia.
I should have probably keyed up before I started talking.
Yeah,
I play Senya, a Kelid barbarian, out in the a native of the Stolen Lands. I am also a level 8 character, but level 4 Generative Vocal. Am I fighter level 4 or am I generative vocal level 4? I should probably pull up my sheet.
Indeed. What I will say is I kind of...
You're 4 of each.
...regret not having the Cavalier level because I was going to make so many Sabaton jokes. Because she was playing a Hussar. Damn it, it would have been so good.
Yeah, we did a little bit of retooling, by the way, so I am now level 4 Geminate Invoker and level 4 Fighter, and with a bit of retooling, I now have a Spirit Guide level 8 Companion. Alright. Senya admires the smith's handiwork on her new armor and shield. She traces her fingers along the antler-shaped bow and arrow hammered into the breastplate by expert hands. The garish eyes that used to adorn it are long gone, no trace of their foul meaning left behind. How fitting that a piece of armor used to protect the assassin has now found new life, protecting Erastel's faithful. If only I had protected Jad. Senya pushes the thought out of her mind. What happened, happened. You can't protect everyone, and he's in a better place now. Her eyes land on the sax, the weapon that Divicos always carried, but inexplicably left behind in Treerazor's saddlebag after he disappeared. Ionia's description of his disappearance still puzzled her. A tree? White light? What could it all possibly mean? His parting words still struck with her after he stormed off into the gnarled marshes. He called her a traitor to her people and her friends intruders into these lands. He was angry, but there was some truth to what he said. She ran away when her tribe needed her most. She was a child then, and she was terrified, but she still ran away. He's right, you know. Cato and Artoris and Ionia and Kalira are all intruders here. They will never understand our way of life, unless you make them. She hears Oslog's admonishing voice in her head again. You must protect these lands, and their bounty from the chaos of war and famine, and from the ambition of progress. If either one goes unchecked, the balance is broken. Resolute in what she must do, Senya dons the armor on and tucks Divicos' blade into her belt. She finds Grom in a modest lean-to shelter outside her quarters, drinking from a trough. I need to have words with our high priest, she says as she saddles Grom, and the horse makes his way towards Abadar's temple without much further prodding from her.
Alrighty, fair enough, and it sounds like Abadar's temple is where we are picking it up. Hero points all around, wonderful as always. And the floor goes to the Reclaimers.
So Senya is outside Abadar's temple. She sees the inevitable by the door, and she walks up the stairs and proclaims, I need to see Artoris. Is he there?
Arbiter would probably look at you like, what are you doing here? He wouldn't be able to express that, of course, but you'd get that sense, I think, by the pause and a little bit of a flutter back. Just, I will get him. Please, come in.
Senya walks quickly past the floaty orb and swings the doors open and calls out, Artoris!
Cato is like also in the room, so he stands shocked, quickly turning around, looks to the Arbiter and looks to Senya, looks to the Arbiter, looks to Artoris, and says, I thought your floating orb was going to make sure we weren't interrupted.
Well, there would of course be an exception for a fellow member of the council. What can I do for you? Why are you shouting in my temple?
Senya's eyes land on Cato, and she says, "Oh, good, you're here too. Perfect. I might as well have this conversation with the both."
Cato shrugs. Of course. Always a pleasure to speak to you, Senya. We were just, planning our grand tour of the kingdom to meet the new people, and, it is spring. It's a new year, and many things to plan. Have a seat. Come join us.
Artoris is a little weirded out by your demeanor, so he's probably watching you a little suspiciously. It's also unusual for you to be here at all.
Very well. Tell me, Artoris, is there space for Erastel in whatever it is that we're building here?
Well, if you are suddenly interested in matters of the faith, yes, actually, I recently confirmed with Abadar that his intent and his will is that there be made space for Erastil in our kingdom. Is there something wrong?
Senya sighs. Yes, there is. Something troubles me, and something that my tribesman said to me before he mysteriously disappeared resonates and rings true. You know, these lands have been here for a lot longer than you or Cato or our little kingdom that we've built here. If we don't find the right balance for the faithful, not just of Abadar, but for the faithful of Erastil, Abadar won't last here long. Who do you where do you think
How
Abadar's
dare you?
Where do you think Abadar's roads come from? Where do you think
Abadar. His divine grace blesses us with these roads.
Yes, but Erastil provides the resources. He provides the land and the earth that the roads are built on, and he provides the stone that the houses are built from. And if we don't, at least in some way, honor that pact between Erastil and Abadar, I'm afraid that we won't last here long.
I will forgive your demeanor and instead concentrate on reassuring that it is my intent and has been since Jod was lost to us to honor his sacrifice with a respect for Erastil and his ways. But, of course, Abadar is the premier faith of the land. It is by his grace that our kingdom grows and flourishes. I do not mean any disrespect, necessarily, but it is not an equal partnership.
Friends. Cato stands up and walks over to Senya and taps her on the back. It then admires the new breastplate with the fancy embellishments on it and nods and, snaps himself back to reality. We're all friends here. Clearly, we can understand where Senya is coming from. She was probably the closest to Jod, and when Artoris unceremoniously dragged him out to the battlefield to be slaughtered, I can see how, that could have rubbed her the wrong way. We all miss Jod. He was a great man. He was one of the first we met on this long, arduous road to where we are today, and we probably wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for his, guidance and help. So, we will honor Jod. That goes without saying. And even though he and Artoris didn't see eye to eye, neither of them has a desire to, for conflict with each other. They simply, had different points of view of things. Just like Senya, you and Artoris have, different points of view. But I think if you could find a way to align your viewpoints, you would find that you two have very much in common and very much the same ideals and goals and values. You just have a different lens over it, and I think that's the same for all of us. So I can speak only on my behalf, as I cannot speak for Artoris, but I fully intend to honor the sacrifice Jod made and the people here who honored him and follow Erastil will, will not be shunned, at least by me, and and I'm sure that our high priest as well will make every effort to accommodate those of different but cooperative viewpoints.
Of course. Abadar has confirmed as much, that is the way forward. And Jod, it is true, I had my disagreements with Jod, but when I think of him now, I am reminded of the first time we found him in that bandit camp, when I was surrounded by you people and Ionia.
What do you
and
mean, you people?
I was waiting for it. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I didn't know you from the bandits we were fighting at that point. And Jod was actually the first breath of fresh air, if you will, in these, at the time, miserable lands.
And then you have him assassinated.
Is that in character? I can't tell.
No.
Okay.
On that note, is Grinluke in the room right now, or is this a sidebar?
No, he departed,
Okay, got it.
and he saw the king come in.
There is a gnome at the door, though.
There's a gnome standing outside the door.
No, not the,
Could be a
yeah,
couple gnomes
because
here.
the one that follows Senia around. She just follows Senia right in.
There's a real angry, just long sword, quote unquote, great sword gnome just standing.
Just
Fox
seething,
glowering.
fuming.
Just quiet.
Just quiet.
I regret Jod's death as much as anybody here, and I only invited him along because I honestly believed he would play a part in that battle. But
The level 3 cleric.
again, out of character. If you want to have this conversation in character, then say something in character. Stop doing this out of character. It's annoying.
Man's got a point.
Now I lost what I was.
I'm messing with you, Oscar.
Well, it's annoying. All right.
Sorry.
I need to make
So I'd
another
sort of-
video chat or another voice channel for the peanut gallery for reclaimers very clearly.
So I'd look to. I guess I would finish by looking to Senya, and I would just. Jod was a great man, and I intend on honoring his sacrifice. His deeds here helped us get to where we are, and I don't intend to let Concordia forget that. And again, Abadar was very clear that there is room for Arath, but coming in here and making demands of me in this fashion is highly inappropriate.
In character.
Senya,
Oh, go. Actually, you go first, Senya.
Senya chooses to ignore the last remark. She narrows her eyes and says, "Very well. And how do you intend to honor his sacrifice?"
Well, my plan was to advocate with the council to begin to develop in the direction of the Temple of the Elk, and to restore the temple and to have it serve as a hub and a holy site for those of the Erastil faith, both here and in neighboring countries.
Kato scratches his chin for a moment. I think that's a brilliant idea.
Senya, appeased for a moment, thinks on it. Erastil was never one for pomp and circumstance, like Abadar, and she kind of looks around the room with all the trappings of Abadar's faith. And if we were to develop that land, promise me that it will not be profaned and disturbed much. There has to be space for the natural, and there has to be space for that which provides this kingdom.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, you're correct. If it were up to me, it would end up probably nothing like you would. So my hope would be that we could work on the project together. I prefer to defer to Erastil's faithful to determine what Erastil might like for the temple.
We know that the Uruxi currently inhabit the Gnarl Marshes. That's the name of that entire forested area, right, Tommy?
That's the swamp. You also know that the Uruxi don't really they are strictly a nomadic culture. They stop where you met them, in the winter into the spring, basically. Other than that, they inhabit the Stolen Lands, basically.
Are they do they generally stick to wooded areas and swamps and marshes? Is that kind of their... Not really? Okay,
yeah.
This just happened to be.
Here is a place that is sacred to them,
yeah.
but you could just as easily find them over here, kind of thing.
All right, I'll pivot my statement then. The Uruxi have sacred grounds within the Gnarl Marshes, and it would be very distasteful to disrupt them and possibly even the surrounding areas as well. Plus, developing the Gnarl Marshes into, something akin to Roostan would also be, probably, economically unfeasible, especially at this moment. However,
out of character, Xenia's basically asking for a nature preserve and a national.
Well, I was just about to basically go there. I was going to say that perhaps that we should, in the expansion of our great kingdom, there's a lot of land here to develop, a lot of plains and hills and places that would make exceptional cities and settlements. However, the Gnarl Marshes are definitely within our realm, but I feel like we should treat those differently. Bring them under our protection, bring them under our preservation, so that the wildlife can continue to thrive, and we can honor those who hold value in such things, like Jod, like Xenia, and like the natives, many of the native groups and tribes of this, of this foreign land.
Very well.
That's my recommendation.
Well, it's of course up to the council, but I would defer to your expertise, and I'd gesture to Xenia as to what Erastil would prefer for a time. But you have my word that it is not my intention or the will of Abadar to drive Erastil out or otherwise ostracize the Erastil faithful.
Cato, kind of ignoring the whole this up to the council bit, rolls out the map that he had shown to Artoris earlier in the text RP. Yes, I'm doing a callback here, showing the surrounding areas. In fact, if we look here at Abadar's arrest, which we have yet to see, I only have visions in my head of what it looks like, but soon we'll see it in person. We could potentially construct a road between Abadar's Rest and the Thorn Ford here to the west. It is a crossing into the Gnarl Marshes that we're all familiar with. That's where we found Kessel's camp, right?
Yeah, that was
Kessel's.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Path of Jod.
If we were to, build a bridge or secure the bridge there into the Gnarl Marshes, we could then construct a road straight through to the Temple of the Elk. This would allow pilgrims a safer travel. As we know, Jod was making the pilgrimage when we met him, and it was a treacherous road, or a treacherous path indeed. As there was no roads, there was no easy way to get there, and it was just smack in the middle of the jungle. Very, very inconvenient and dangerous. A road leading through the ford and straight to the temple, would allow pilgrims of Erastil to have a safe and secure method of getting to and from the temple. Yes, I think this would be perfect. As he draws crudely draws a road on the map, how he sees it being, being pathed. Where is Abadar's Rest? Right here. So I'm thinking like he basically just like scratches a. And then I'll delete it because that's not actually a thing yet. He looks around the room. Senya.
Senya satisfied with Artoris's response and Cato's enthusiasm for her request. Nods and says, "Thank you."
I'm sure the rest of the council will agree. I don't think there's any need to, stand on ceremony here. I think it's the right thing to do, and I know everyone within the council would agree it's the right thing to do, especially given the great martyr Saint Jod and what he gave, for our kingdom here.
I don't think you have the ability to saint him, my lord.
Can I not do whatever I please? Very well.
Respectfully, sainthood and the proclamation of is reserved to the priesthood. So, you probably want to leave that out.
Does
Cato.
Erastil have a priesthood? How does Erastil saint its member?
Yeah, I mean, Jod was a priest of Erastil.
He was.
Let's ask Jod.
Quickly speak with dead.
Before his death.
Can we get that Aruxi back so we can?
I mean, he did belong to a temple, and he ventured out here.
Yeah, maybe we should actually find out where he came from. Send word back that,
that trail off. Yeah.
Hey, you know that Jod guy y'all sent up here to
He did find the Temple of the Elk. He's buried there.
He found it.
We should wait. We should wait until we've restored the temple. Maybe built a monument, a monument to Jod, and then let them know. Then find out where he came from. Let them know what happened, and that we've erected this monument in his honor.
Can we agree that the Path of Jod?
Package some good news. Path of Jod is the name of the road.
The name of the road, yeah, Jod.
What was it? Path of Jod or Jod's Path or?
Jod's Path.
Yeah, I think Jod's Path. Oh my God, we're settled. We're actually going to be developing out that way soon, huh? Okay. Great.
All right. Well
then.
Satisfied. She's got nothing else. Her ire deflated a bit, so.
Cato keeps every time the conversation kind of slows down. He goes back to admiring Senya's new armor. It's very shiny, very well crafted. Was this the blacksmith here in town? The new one that we recently hired?
It was.
It's actually somewhat fortuitous that you'd happened in here at this time, because Cato was just remarking that you should accompany us.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm a bit of a scatterbrain today. Senya, now, I know we all quote, this is out of character, I'm going to do a little out of character thing here. We all kind of Zeresh because it's super fancy. And Cato admire, it reminds him of, back home when, yeah, it's just, okay, thanks. Okay, anyway, I'm just getting DMs from people. Back on topic.
Everybody just caused Cato to divide by 0 real quick. Slide to DMs.
Basically, my brain just divided by 0 and I collapsed. So I know we all kind of picked our quote unquote roles at the beginning of the session or at the beginning of the campaign, even though we didn't really have a kingdom yet and there was no official declaration or assignment of roles. Some people step into theirs or have revelations for theirs. So this is going to be sort of Senya's appointment. So Senya, clearly you care about the land and the people here. This is without question. As such, by the powers vested within me, I would like to appoint you an official role within this kingdom as, let me just make sure I got the right one, Marshal? Did I get that right? Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, cool. I point you to the role of Marshal. Your task, should you accept, will be the safety, security, and the representation of our interests and the interests of the people in the remote settlements of these lands, where Kalira is in charge of security, the city guard, and such within the core settlements. You will be tasked with forming a team to patrol the borders, to ensure security within the outlying settlements, to protect them from, anything that may threaten them from within or without. With that said, as we plan to journey to these new remote settlements, we're planning to meet with the new people who have agreed to cede to our kingdom. We think it would only be appropriate to have you and Grom, of course, ride as escort with us, to also meet the people that you will soon be in charge of protecting.
Very well.
Great. Well, if we have nothing else to discuss here today, I will have the carriage stocked up with all the necessary supplies. Senya, if you could prepare Grom for the road, and we should. I know we have a council meeting in a couple of days, as I recommended to you, Arcturus, earlier. We should commence on our expedition after the next council meeting, once we make sure we have all of our affairs in order here at home before we set out.
Of course.
Congratulations on your new position, Senya.
Thanks. Is there like a ceremony or something?
You don't stand on pomp and circumstance.
I do not. Cool. All right. Well, I will go prepare Grom. When do we set out?
In a few days.
Very well.
Fortnight.
Oh my god.
That's 2 weeks. That's too long. Well, we'd set out in a reasonable amount of time. When is the next?
Appreciate you trying to use Fortnite there, though.
Yeah, I tried. We could do it in a fortnight. I don't know what day it is of the week, or what day of the month is it right now. Where do we currently stand, Tommy, on the calendar?
Given that we've run Kingdom turns for the past forever, either right before or right after a Kingdom turn, depending on whatever's convenient.
So we were thinking of queuing the next Kingdom turn decisions, but then not doing the month time skip, and instead
Don't we have to be in the kingdom to do kingdom turns, or else we for...
Yeah, and some of you will be.
And you will be if you are here, you are in the kingdom.
Oh, that's true. Right? Yeah, we're in the kingdom. Yeah, and there will be some of you still staying within the capital as well. I'm sure, unless you have other plans, which you should probably run by. But cool. What are Skyrim rules?
What?
Tibor?
He's talking about
the armor.
a different chat, Tommy.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna shut.
Very awkwardly.
It's distracting me. Yeah, they're saying I was being very weird, admiring Senya's breastplate, her armor. It's why are you being so weird about her armor? Anyway, because I like fancy things. Kato likes
Kato
well
likes being
crafted.
weird, guys. Come on. This is established. This is known.
All right.
My
Anyway,
character guy.
Kato will nod to Senya, nod to Artoris, walk out, see the two gnomes who have, faithfully stood by the door, let out a long sigh, and walks past them, hoping that they won't notice. But I assume as soon as he leaves the building, they shuffle behind him.
They probably just stay
Foxes
5
are
feet
trotting
behind you.
behind them.
Yeah.
The little
Trotting behind,
The
yeah.
little foxes are trotting right behind them.
He attempts to lose them in the market square, in the hustle and bustle of the crowd, as he takes a scenic route back to the Fort Staggrave.
Make a stealth check.
Can I make a stealth check?
I mean, the high priest has said it.
I was kidding.
Saint
I'm not
Artoris.
kidding.
I guess we are gonna have to figure out how to
Nope.
say it, folks. Yeah,
Aw,
no, you got nothing.
damn.
I mean, they probably would have been like, "We'll just wait for him back at the castle anyway."
They do have foxes with them.
We got little trained creatures that can sniff you out.
Well, I would have snuck in through like the window or something.
Snuck into a window. Yeah, that's real kingly. Excuse me, citizen.
You have a ladder.
I like that voice more. You should do that voice more.
Excuse me, citizen.
That's my DM King voice.
God, that fucked me up. I don't know why. Okay, cool. So,
Cool.
do we want to do a kingdom turn before road trip happens?
I don't know if this kind of. I'm done. Like Kato's done everything Kato wants to do before then. But I mean, what about Ionia and Kalira? And you guys have stuff you want to do?
Because that was my first question: is do we have kingdom turn math? My second question is everyone who's not going on the road trip, what are you doing? My third question is we are in the process of building the arena, right? Like that has been we've spent the gold on that, and that's coming down.
In construction.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Um.
I did
I mean-
fix up the. We had some errors with the kingdom sheet from 2 sessions ago, so
Cool.
I fixed that up. So everything should be ship shape.
Yeah.
I
alright.
was actually admiring, or I should say, Kalira was admiring the weird stone that Arturus had floating over his head. She kept seeing it like, don't know what that's for, but it's pretty. And then somebody told her that it gives you magic powers, and she was like,
It would have been around Arbiter's head, actually.
"Oh, okay." Arbiter said, and she would be like, "I want one of those. Nice."
No
so
one tell her
she's
it's
gonna-
magic.
She's gonna order a cracked dusty rose ion stone.
Correct.
Is that how she said it when she placed the order?
Dusty rose. No, that's the person who sold it.
Oh,
She was
even
like-
better.
You need a
which-
dusty
which-
rose ironstone.
Dusty rose. The Concordian dream. Yes. A cracked one though. I'm not crazy. Yeah, cracked dusty rose stone. I'll put an order in for that. That's about it.
Alrighty, Ione, you got anything?
All right. Well, in the king's absence, I will take the mantle as ruler of Concordia.
Nice.
Coup happened.
You thought it'd be
While you were
Kalira.
away.
It was actually Ionia. Oh shit.
Now I want to buy a Dusty Rose. See, you did it. Now I'm.
Yeah,
I kinda wanna buy one too.
To be honest.
Those are they're cheap, right? Cracked. It's only 500
500k. Well, it's 500.
500k.
It's
Well,
500,000. You realize the build points in the kingdom are just gone.
That's half. It's a half 1,000. Sorry.
First off, I just want to interject that Kato will be assigning his proxy while he is gone, so there's no dibs system involved in this kingdom.
Dibs?
Sorry, you can't call.
Hey,
can't
that's what I
You
was
can't
doing,
just
man.
shotgun the throne. Okay, shotgun.
There's no dibs in the kingdom. No, what is this, Monty Python? You can't call dibs. You can call dibs.
But if Ionia wants to make a case for why, I was actually gonna make
For why I
Ionia.
should be the leader. Well, I'm smarter. I'm better looking.
Oh,
Yeah, this
this
Better with
again.
people.
All last
See,
time.
Familiar.
I never signed this document, so it's not true. It wasn't passed into
Whether
law.
or not you sign it, it's just an inherent truth.
And I vetoed it though. On the desk of the king, it was vetoed.
Oof.
So it's actually
No,
inherently
I'm now
true and not the case. Anyway, with that said, I was actually going to put you in charge of overseeing since you are the spy master, and I had a very important job for you while we were gone. So, but I wanted to wait till we got to the king council to talk about this.
Well,
Okay,
do you
good.
want me to be doing things while you're gone, or do you want to? Like, your timeline's a little weird, so.
One thing I was going to put you in charge of overseeing and keeping everything together while we were gone, but I was going to give you like kind of a mission, a top secret mission.
As well. Going to be in charge of Kalira.
It's top
sure
secret. Come on.
The assassination of 8 gnomes.
I'm not doing that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Including
There's 10 of them,
treasurer,
actually.
magister, spymaster. I am not the royal executioner. We
Boom.
have
I mean-
Jubilost for that.
What?
Jubilost is the counselor.
Ultimate
I just feel like this is
betrayal.
fair.
don't
Okay,
have a
so to
Rolex.
prevent us from being further slap happy, does Ionia have anything Ionia needs to do before we go to the kingdom stuff?
Just the regular, spying on people, earning everybody's business, being nosy,
Okay. There could be something that comes from that.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I do want to start building, like a little, like my own little network of spies.
Okay.
Birds.
Nah, they're gonna be snakes. And I recently bought a snakeskin tunic to represent.
What? No, man.
All right. So we are gonna mute the boys again. What were you saying, Ionia?
Mostly memeing, but also I want to start taking some downtime to recruit some little like spy followers,
Okay,
little
cool.
network.
Alrighty, so in betwixt recruiting them and doing spying on your own, you get word that they're seeing like rocks and things float to the east, like through I don't like that the compass is turned sideways. That is dumb and I hate it. Towards the east, towards Dunsword, in that mountain range, rumors persist that, like, in the middle of the night, occasionally you'll see, like, perfectly square or rectangular blocks just kind of, like, floating around. People who have, like, gone out exploring that way have seen that, or, like, people who stop on the road, or, like, people who are stationed at the watchtower and come back report that they see weird, like, floaty bricks and stuff on the horizon, because this is, compared to the size of those mountains, it's mostly flattish.
So I found where they mine the ion stones.
And I think we can go ahead and bop over to the kingdom turn.
Are we unmuted?
Yeah.
You found where the ion stones come from. Neat. Before we start doing the rolls and stuff, I'll have my little chat with Ionia now that we're at council. Ionia, darling,
Ada. My man.
my man, my main man. So I feel
What
like
do you
we've.
require of me, my lord?
I think we have neglected something very important. I know it was a cold winter, and we all got real excited building up our kingdom with the exploding doubling of population every month, and it was great. And rolling all those build points and stuff was fantastic. But in the hustle and bustle of our expansive growth and celebrations, poor Chief Sootscale, as he glances over at our treasurer, sitting all mopey and dopey with his people gone. we need to track down clues, anything. We have no leads. We have no hints of any leads. We have nothing to even hint towards a hint of what could have possibly happened to Sootscale's people.
Well, we do have maybe a little bit of a hint because what's that that guy's name? Demikos
Divicos?
Divination.
What's his name?
Yeah.
Divination.
I had that vision of Divicos disappearing as well. So we have a little bit of a lead, but I agree we've put this off way too long. It's been a busy winter. I'm very intrigued by this. I've been wanting to look into this for quite some time now.
I think now that the seasons have shifted and perhaps I know that you are. I'm going to give you a little. I know you've kind of already had initiative on this, but as our population grows and our kingdom grows, you're going to end up being quite stretched. So I take it you're already making arrangements to expand upon your resources.
Yeah, I am. Have you noticed my tunic?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, it's lovely.
The finest craft. Okay.
So
I see you're only a fan of some well-made armor.
no, it's nice. It's a snake skin. It's cool. Where did you get the snake? Did you skin it yourself?
Well, no, but I did go on a little hunting trip a while back. I thought about inviting you, but you seemed pretty busy. But yeah, I went and just kind of found a bunch of snakes and made some clothes out of them.
A bunch of snakes
way
on a
you do.
plane.
That's entirely made up. I just hired people to.
Yeah. Kato's not buying it.
Is he not buying it because I just said it was made up?
No. He's like, okay, cool story, bro, or sis. With that, anyway, back on track. Cool, snake tunic, gotcha.
Your sister guy.
Yeah. So, would you mind in the meantime, while we're off having fun, I'm going to give you essentially acting oversight of the capital. In my absence, you will be in charge of ensuring the safety and security of the people. Please work with Chief Sootscale to see if there's any leads you can come across to ascertain the nature of his people. Obviously, do not put yourself or him at any immediate risk. If you do find any leads, use your best judgment, but don't follow up on anything that could be seen as too dangerous. Wait for our return. But right now, I would say stick to the information gathering stage to see if there's any, because right now we have no leads, no trails to follow up on, and our poor boy, Chief Sootscale, needs his people.
That was quite the speech. Okay, so in your absence, I am standing king. I keep watch over the civilians. So, and then I will also look into the Sootscale situation, which is what I'm calling it now.
Sure. All
That
correct
does
except
run a
you'll
little
be
better than, since it's not the Varnhold vanishing, it becomes the Sootscale situation. I gotta change the title of a YouTube video. Hang on. If I understand it correctly, that means that Artoris, Cato, Xenia are gonna be going, and Jubilost and Grinluke are gonna end up essentially here.
Jubilost is coming too.
Gotcha.
So-
That leaves.
Oh, I didn't sign up for that. Did I?
You did.
Well, at least you didn't shoot it down. In any case, then Ionia is remaining at home to deal with the Sootscale situation. God, that's so much
Acting
better.
as king.
Acting as king.
And
I mean, we're just gonna keep calling it king every time you insist otherwise. 3 chaotic neutrals wander into a bar. They realize that someone's infringing on their freedom, and they just get pissed forever. What's Kalira do?
Well, I guess she will continue her efforts in training up the lackluster group of misfits that she has under her regime. At the same time, she really wants to work on that underground fighting pit. She's not completely sold on the arena. And the theater was just a flop because no one liked her poetry, and so she's just been like going behind like Jod's tavern and like just making people fight, and then like, all right, 5 coins on the one with the bald head. Let's go. Keep it clean, stuff like that.
Okay, fair enough. And by
Wait a minute, Jack
by
has a
like
tavern?
no, he meant to say
Yeah.
Oleg.
Oh, okay.
Oleg, my bad.
The tavern is now haunted by Jod's ghost, the power of the moon radishes. So by people under your control, do you mean the Ash Maidens or like the militia?
The Ash Maidens, the militia.
Okay, 'cause-
The Ash Maidens are, I mean, they got a lot of free time since most of the people that they watch are not around. So they'll be scouting for other angry women.
okay, cool. There's certainly like the amount of people that have showed up in this fast of a time in Roosted means like the militia has grown as well. If there are active recruiting efforts, no longer is it just like 20 folks with bows and spears. Now you have, you wouldn't necessarily call it a standing army, at least like in terms of like, now we're going to march on Rostov, but like certainly you feel, you, Kalira, like boots on the ground in the situation, as well as everybody else. Like, if a big ass owlbear and some cultists and a troller 4 happened to show up, like, the militia would take casualties, but the place would be able to defend itself.
And I'm probably trying to coach up Fish and Wretch as like like sergeants, I guess.
Sure.
Teaching them the ins and outs, how not to piss me off. Mostly that, and also how to do their job.
Gotcha. Okay.
I forgot Fish even existed.
I did too.
Yeah, me too. Tell me on the mention of cultists. Over the past 8 months, had anyone come forward with any after I put the bounty notice out on any cultists of Verona, or any intel on potential cult activities?
No one has. Other than, well, that's probably not true. More like, I have to use the phrase given who's in charge of the military, but basically just witch hunts, right? You know what I mean? Like, my neighbor did some shit I don't like. I'm gonna tell the authorities that they're demon worshippers, and then like it goes nowhere. That kind of thing. Maybe like the absolute worst case of worst case scenarios is somebody had a small altar to, I don't necessarily know off the top of my head, but like a deity who is a little more obscure, whose holy symbol could be confused with like a demon lord or something like that.
So no dunkings?
No Dunkins.
Boo.
I mean, everyone's going to be gone for a while. If you'd like to throw some folks in the
if I can find a couple of like... No, I'm just kidding.
That's where the fighting pits happen. We just get some rafts and float them out on the Tuskwater.
Ooh.
Anyway, I digress. Is there any kingdom math we want to do? Do we need to roll for wealth, things like that?
Or
Yeah,
not, I hope not, but I think we do.
So Tommy, with the audit that I did, so our economy is now down 1 point from what we were rolling.
Mm-hmm.
However, we were missing something, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I was just reading through the brushing up because there's so many different rules when it comes to this. So the mines, the way I'm reading here of how the mines function is that each mine provides +1 economy. And they also produce a flat build point every round as well. And then the foundry doubles the output of the mine's economy bonus and build point which means that with 2 mines and 2 foundries, each mine produces 2 econ, but each mine would produce just a flat 2 build points each month, which I do not think we were getting when we were rolling our previous kingdom turns.
Okay, I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, I want to say.
So either way, that's so I've reduced. So yeah, we had too many. We had 1 too many points in our econ. So I've reduced that down to the 9 from buildings instead of 10.
Okay, cool.
And there, I put since we have 2 mines that are producing 2 econ each, I put the 4 points into resources. So that's 4.
Okay, cool.
2 from each mine. And then, which we were getting, we were calculating that correctly. However, it's the additional thing that the mines give, where they also give each one gives a flat amount of build points each month as well, in addition to the boost to the econ roll, which I don't think we. So
because you were not in control of the mines, you were just getting a little bit from the soot scales.
Right. But now we've got them. Now we've got our own people mining them. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
We had So okay. So we benefit from that now.
Sure. Okay, so if you want to do the kingdom turn, I'm given to understand there's another chat where y'all can do that, where it doesn't interrupt, where we don't stop the game for an hour and a half.
I think we're just doing one quick.
Yeah, we were just doing private.
Okay, do the one quick somewhere and make the rolls where I can see them, and then tell me the results of what you want to build and stuff.
Sure.
I think everybody knows how it works without Tommy needing to be there at this point.
Okay. Fair enough.
Meanwhile, Ionia goes a searching for secrets for the soot scale situation. There was too many S's. I don't know how I did that. But
So good.
how do you want to do it?
Well, I guess the first thing would be to talk to Soot Scale. I think somebody's already tried this, but I don't think I have. So I guess I'll go see what he can tell me about what happened, how it happened, how quickly it happened, all of that.
Okay. As far as the chief knows, and what Artoris would have been able to tell you, he came here, he and Artoris went back. When you went back, that's when everyone was gone, and the chief has no idea why or what happened.
So it's just a very sudden,
just out of
thing.
nowhere. Yeah.
And were there possessions left behind, or?
Yeah, meals were left half-eaten. The wealth of the there's a archaeological find deep in the caverns that have been turned into crappy apartments. If that's not a treatise on capitalism, I don't know what is. But yeah, there's everything in those ruins, all their weapons, things like that, just hanging out.
And I would like to speak with Jubilost.
Okay.
Because I know he's a man of history and knowledge, and see if he's encountered any information regarding the vanishing that happened in Brevoy 11 years ago.
Alrighty, you got ranks in that. He can re-roll it too. He's my favorite bard archetype. How'd you do, buddy? I'm gonna question that into the ground. I'm just gonna re-roll it. Damn, you hate to see it. Jubilost knows basically what you know, which I kind of leave it open and un-RP'd in that sense, because I'm not entirely sure what it is that Ionia knows about it, or in general the thing. So it might be a little better to be well, what happened?
Hold on, you lost me there.
I guess I can just Google it real quick. I want to, because most of the things when you excuse me, when you Google here we go, never mind. I tried to find it before, and you just get links to purchase the Varnhold Vanishing Kingmaker, the Varnhold Vanishing walkthrough, a let's play of Kingmaker, the Vanishing. By and large, it's mostly just it is shrouded in mystery. No one really knows what happened. There's Jubilost could probably tell you a lot about some like folks in Absalom who have written like, God, what is, I don't know what to call the kind of book, but like I guess
like kind of theory crafting type stuff.
Yeah, like everything from like creepy conspiracy theories about this is how it happened to like fictional ghost stories about it.
Okay. And then I would like to consult my Tome of Worldly Knowledge. Tome of Worldly Memory. That's the one. See if maybe I can learn anything new from that.
Alrighty, make it so.
That would be history, yeah.
Yeah.
And then with a plus 10, I think, from the book.
+5.
Plus 5 from the book.
Alrighty, and we specifically want to learn about the vanishing in Skywatch 11 years ago. Right? Just to make sure I'm on the same point.
Just the vanishing in general, yeah.
Okay. You get, as you open the book and begin flipping and thinking and thinking and flipping and so on and so forth, probably little excerpts in the book of like the cover of those pseudo tabloids almost that you can buy throughout the world, bits of like, some of it is exaggeration, like, clearly this is the work of some outer god. Some of it lands a little more to the truth, like powerful divination magic can't get through the walls of Skywatch anymore. Years and years and years have gone by, people have tried to see what the hell's going on in there, but everything has been met with failure. Speculations then go on that like there's something, they all kind of like bounce several different directions, like, oh, this is why the stolen lands couldn't be taken. There's something that protects it and pushes people out and makes them disappear by force if necessary. There's some bits about how like it's the fault of the Iruxi. There's some bits about like just on and on and on, pointing the finger. The TLDR comes down to people don't really know what in the hell happened.
Okay,
But it
thing.
did spawn,
Okay.
I guess I should say, is like all the crap that's happened in Brevoy happened basically right after that.
Okay. And then as a final thing, I can use the tome more than once per day, right?
Yeah, total of 3.
Okay. I want to use the tome again and look into the Discari avatar that Eridan defeated in the Lake of Mists and Veils. Just because I think that maybe there's a connection there, even though there's probably not.
I mean, I'm GMing Wrath of the Righteous too, so I have a little more knowledge about this one. Knowledge history or religion, either. Alrighty. And this one's a little more common than the events of like, what in the hell happened? In the year 4433, one of Eridan, the god of humanity, one of his most like famous miracles was when like he, still immortal, was able to just wipe out the cult of Discari and Discari's avatar and just drive them into the Lake of Mists and Veils. Yes, as of, I'm running the adventure paths by date in my head. Wrath of the Righteous takes place several years after Kingmaker. So, like, present day, Ionia knows that if you were to go due northeast of here for a while, you'd end up in a horrible, terrible place called the World Wound, from whence, like, demons roam the lands, and, like, it is an active concern for, probably in the back of everyone's heads, TBH, that, like, this will one day spread out too far, and, like, the Abyss will consume Golarion. Everyone in the party probably knows at least one person, if not more, who, God, I don't like Game of Thrones that much. I know, right? But the thing where you go to the wall in Game of Thrones or go to jail, that thing, I can't think of what it's called to save my life, but like someone who has either heard their calling in their heart of hearts that like, I need to go do something to stop this, take up a knightly oath, go to the World Wound, fight demons, or like folks who commit crimes and could go to jail for a really long time, or a couple tours of the World Wound and will forget anything ever happened. That sort of thing.
Okay.
It doesn't really... You would think if that was related to the events happening either at Skywatch or at the Sootscale Caverns, like, Discari is not a quiet entity. He's a demon lord who's so powerful he has spawned other demon lords. He's associated with, like, his avatar is basically a giant centaur locust. Associated with plagues and things, you think, A, you would have seen hordes of locusts descend upon you. B,
Gotcha, okay.
that, like, he wouldn't have stopped.
And I guess with some of this time, I'd like to go to the Sootscale Caverns and see if I can do like some object reading on maybe some of the personal possessions of the kobolds that went missing, or like anything that looked like it might have been in use when they went missing. Just kind of trying to get a glean for if it was similar to what happened with Divicos.
Okay. Makes sense to me. Is that a, like, Ionia goes there herself kind of thing, or do we grab somebody, or...
That's still technically within our kingdom, right?
Yeah.
So if I were to do that, we wouldn't be taking the penalty for me not being there.
Right.
Okay.
And also,
yeah,
I suppose, like, there are people living there now, so you're not, like, run off and be isolated by yourself.
Yeah. I will take Sootscale and Jubilost with me.
Okay, sounds good.
And I imagine you want an appraise?
Yes, if you would. You get there. What specifically do you appraise?
Like I said, just anything that looks like it may have been in use when the time, like when everybody went vanishing. Specifically, if it was like a personal item of one of the kobolds.
Okay.
That would have all been cleaned up by now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, shit. What did we do with all that? With all that crap?
There's probably something you can find somewhere. Proverbial evidence place. It's good enough. So it's one more time. I'm sorry. The Chief and Jubilost are with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pick up a. I don't even. A hammer at like one of the forges that has been, like, it is now in use by folks who live there. A much smaller hammer that no one is using, given that, like, the majority of the people living at the Sootscale Estates are medium creatures. This little tiny one has been discarded. You pick it up, you concentrate on it, and, like, make a will save. Okay, so you pick it up, you go to concentrate. It's pretty effortless for you at this point. Like, you just pick up the thing, inhale, exhale, here we are. There's a brilliant crimson light overtakes your mind's eye. Do you do this where, like, the people can see?
It'd probably be somewhere more private.
Okay, fair enough. But we want the NPCs who are important there.
Yeah, Jubilost and
the Chief.
Sootscale can be there.
Okay. Gotcha. So you, a bright crimson light overtakes you. You like you suddenly come to as Jubilos has like violently pushed your shoulder in such a way that like you drop the hammer. There is a, not mechanically you don't take damage, but there are pretty painful burns running like where you were holding the hammer, and you realize both your nostrils are bleeding pretty hard. My dear, what did you see? What happened? The chief is just aghast and worried.
Okay, so, sorry, I was a little distracted for a second there. So I saw a bright light, and then my actual nose started bleeding.
Yeah.
And that's all I got was just a light.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I'll wipe the blood from my nose and just kind of shake my head and say, nothing really, just a light.
You've been out for at least 5 minutes.
Oh.
The chief is still just super frantic. Your hands, and he like holds his hand towards yours. A little bit of like light begins glowing from his hand as he puts his hand in your hand, and positive energy begins to flow into it. The burn goes away. I don't understand the language you were speaking, but I'm sorry, I need to collect myself. I'm surprised you're so put together. That was easily the most terrifying 5 minutes of my life.
Yeah, I have a lot of those. Jubilos, did you recognize the language I was speaking?
I did not.
Do I remember speaking a language?
You don't remember a whole lot of much, other than like bright light, and then suddenly Jubilos has like whapped you out of some kind of torpor.
Well, whatever happened here, I don't think it was pleasant for them. I'm sorry to tell you that.
The chief nods, still just kind of like frantic. Well, what do we do now?
I'm not really sure. I'll need to think for a little bit about where to go from here.
Shall we return home then?
Yeah, I think I think I need to rest.
He nods. What do you want to tell everyone when they ask?
What was that?
What do you want to tell everyone when they ask?
Everyone being, what, like the council?
He makes like the biggest foppish bow that he possibly can.
Well, we'll tell them the truth.
Didn't really get us anywhere. Should we leave it here?
I'm sorry, you're really quiet. I can barely hear you.
It didn't really get us anywhere. Should we leave it here?
Let's bring the hammer with us. It could be useful later on.
He nods. Fair enough. And back home we go.
Key in a skull! Ah, I'm gonna die!
Have I done object reading on this
What?
call? I thought I had already.
No.
What?
Was the key in a skull?
It was in a skull, man.
I don't
It
remember
was
that.
definitely in a skull. It
Remember
was in a
that.
skull on the troll's hip. I remember that.
So there was a skull on the troll's hip, and there was a key,
There's a key in it.
locked inside it. What?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes,
I feel
there
like that's-
was.
I'm so confused.
Okay, so when we killed the leader of the trolls,
Right?
you said it had a key. You had said it had a key in a skull. It's one of his possessions,
Uh-huh.
and we have no idea what it does or anything about it.
Oh, you want her to
Rand-
object read
And
it.
no one
Okay.
cares but me.
I mean, I care.
Okay, thank you, Tara. I appreciate that.
I think we already did object reading on that. I don't know. But I
don't
mean, Clear is
remember
still in town, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring me the skull when I get back. Oh,
I mean, I figured the scroll is in that basement where we keep all our treasure, apparently.
In the treasure basement.
Yeah, treasure basement.
The
Yeah, I
storage
remember.
closet.
It was the jail. It was the jail for the longest time.
Yeah.
well, when I'm feeling better from that last one, I'll see what's up with the key in the skull, I guess.
Okay. So you pick up the key, and without rolling a check, you intrinsically know that he was carrying the key to all the treasure chests in his dungeon that has now been abandoned for 8 months and may not even be there. If you go to the Hargulka's Lair dungeon, I will retool it hard, but don't do it today. Now you know.
Let's do that.
Ha.
Okay, so that's the key. Was the skull significant at all?
Actually, if I'm honest with you, I don't. We may have misheard me. I don't think he had a
Maybe.
skull.
Yeah, he didn't.
I could have swore he said this key was
I
in
would
the
have
skull.
remembered if he said it was in a skull.
I don't know, man. Sorry.
I feel like Kalira and Senya remember
Yeah.
like the same thing, and everybody else remembers something.
Right.
Is that barbarian brain?
I thought he
No,
was
that
just
key was
using the key
definitely
as some sort of
that
weird
he
purse,
goes
and he was
right in
holding
there.
holding the key in the skull.
That's what I
What?
thought.
It's fashionable. Pops open skull. Okay, so did we figure out what we wanted to do with our stiff
With our what?
for the
Yeah,
ye old kingdom turn?
yeah, we did.
As
So we are going to claim a tile, the one with the thorn fjord.
No, Jay, cut that out.
And should we grab the Thorn River tile too? Since it's currently adjacent.
Our
How much-
stability is so high right now that I'm all.
Get to complete the
And-
circle.
And should we get the one next to our capital too?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna. So we're not gonna keep any more buildings right now. We're just gonna claim some hexes. So let me just take a quick peek at our.
I'm guessing
Sitting
it's
here.
and
Yeah, and then one more below it.
here.
Yep.
All right.
That will cost us. Just want to make sure we don't overspend. Yeah, grab that one. Yeah, so that one, and then perfect,
This
and then the one, the one bordering our. So that's 1, 2, 3. Those are 2 hill tiles, and a forest. Would you say Thorn Ford is a forest tile?
Yeah.
So 4 build points for the forest and 2 for the road. Double that because we need a bridge. So that's 8 build points total for the Thorn Ford, and then 2 for each of the other tiles, which we're not building roads through. So that's a total of 4. So that's 12. 12 spent out of our 18. So 6 left. You know what we should do? The one right here, we could turn that into, or this one, maybe the one with the river, turn that into farmland. Or the one in the river, I would imagine.
Seems good to
To
me.
be adjacent to Abadar's Rest, yeah.
And we'll do-
Isn't old Sycamore farmland too? Does that cause is there an issue with having 2 farmlands next to each other? I'm just
I don't think so.
So a farm must be by a body of water or adjacent to a hex that is so it needs to be adjacent to a body of water or a farm, another farm hex. So
okay. So that's
we
good.
basically just be expanding farmland from all the way across to the river. Okay, and that farm would cost us another 4. So that would leave us with 2 build points left. I say we just bank the 2.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Alrighty.
So now tile, farms, road, and bridge on the Thorn Ford. And that bridge will go to Abadar's Rest. Or that road will go from Abadar's Rest to the Thorn Ford crossing.
All right, sounds good
Neat.
to me.
Good job, everybody.
Huzzah.
That'll do
Okay,
it.
cool. So then now we do the road trip thing.
Yeah.
Unless anybody wants to interact with anybody from like events the soot scale investigation. Technically, like in the amount of time that y'all did the building and prepping and things, like you would probably reconnoiter with Ionia at some point. It doesn't take a lot of effort to get from here to here these days.
Okay. Well, I mean, as we're packing up and preparing, so we'll be busybodies getting ready to go. I guess that's on her if she wants to interject anything.
I'm a little out of ideas at the moment. I guess the only other thing I can think is maybe like I could research spell or other magic effects that might cause the types of effects I experienced during that last object reading. Outside of that, like I kind of went through all of my ideas, so if anyone else has suggestions, I'm open to it.
My suggestion would be, well, I shouldn't phrase it like that. For the thing you asked, Knowledge Arcana. Jubilost is concerned.
I'm gonna tireless logic that.
That's better.
Not much better, honestly.
Can't get any worse. So
What about your book? Did you not use your book?
Oh yeah, I can use the book too, right?
Yeah.
It's been twice, yeah.
And during Kingdom turns, it's pretty safe to say that, like, days will pass, the book will refresh.
Oh, right.
26, 7, 29, 30, so 31. Okay, cool. Well, I think, friends, we've hit everyone's favorite part of D&D. GM exposition time. I just need to check a DC really quickly.
Let's grab my drink.
Everybody sit down. I'm going to talk for like 30 minutes. I wish this artifact had more lore, but I think the two of you... Yeah, basically, you put it together. What basically happened from the point of view of a psychic, like, you aren't necessarily seeing the item for what it is or what it does, but you're like, if that hammer had a soul, you are accessing the soul of the hammer. You are having a conversation with the hammer, asking the hammer how it feels. The hammer, if like all things have a spirit or like something in them, it has come into contact, and its holder also come into contact with something incredibly powerful, something that would leave a sort of like imprint upon things around it in terms of like the esoteric. It might not necessarily, like, in the same way that, like, if I have a jar of water and I knock it over on some paper, it's going to ruin the paper. It's not going to be something everyone can see, but someone who knows where to look would run into it in a similar sense. Breaking open the book, flipping through, trying to fill in any like gaps anywhere in the thing. Let me see if I can find any more lore, because I really hope there's more for it than what it gives me in this book, but there definitely should be. You get some, like, a lot of it seems to be legends. A lot of it seems to be just like rumors. Some of it seem to be, it's hard to say, but a long time ago in this part of the world, we're talking like before Earthfall, we are talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years ago, in this part of the world, folks lived here from due east of where we sit now, a place called Eobaria. Present day, like, there are probably people of Eobarian ethnicity living in Rooston and like 100% in Restov, but you don't see a lot of them anymore, partially because of like all of the plagues and things that have recently swept through that part of the world. But also, like, most of the big civilizations have kind of just risen and fallen. One of those was particularly faithful to... There's a lot of talk between which particularly of the four, but lots of them venerated the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And then from there, you do a little more like flipping back and forth. You eventually land on how some of them, the more powerful of them, would replace their eyes with essentially very, very, very potent magic crystals, which would allow them to do all kinds of manner of things. Anything from something, dare I say, mundane, quote unquote, as like see someone who is invisible or be able to scry a little too far, all the way up to like armies wiped out in a single night because someone would use something like this, or even just like leave the thing somewhere where someone might pick it up, and like then the analogy goes to like the One Ring and everyone who's not a hobbit, basically. The compulsion to use this thing and then have the thing consume you. It's a tale as old as time. Most likely, though you can't... Nah, you basically can. Most likely that means whomever has caused the soot scale situation, and truthfully, the events of the Vanishing Prior, has access to one of these. It would explain why lots and lots and lots of people are vanishing just like with a snap, because they're using something very like powerfully magical and almost like intelligently nefarious. These items are usually so powerful as to like, to again go back to Lord of the Rings, I guess you can't just, well, why don't we just destroy it, throw an axe at it. Generally speaking, you're looking for more of a like a very specific thing that one must do to destroy truly what would be considered an artifact. That clearly informs Ionia. Well, really, I guess just the one thing. There is someone or something in the Stolen Lands, possibly in like northeastern Avestan, or maybe even farther, because certainly if you have something like this, like one plane of existence is not your limits by a long shot. There's someone very powerful around here who is doing a lot of harm. Rooston, Concordia, like, is the biggest target, short of just like, let's turn on Restov. And turning on Restov would certainly, like, it would put you on a map, right? It's the difference between attacking a very big established city with lots of international relations and, well, some settlers and their friends in the middle of a like wilderness. I don't necessarily want to say it's terrifying news, because I don't want to like force the RP into your mouth, that kind of thing, but it's big news.
And is the impression that I've got from this, if anything at all, that the people who are going missing are being like translocated, or they're just being like wiped from existence?
Both are possible. It's the impression is someone has access to this who is like, frankly, I don't necessarily want to say out of your depth, but I mean, we've quoted a lot of Disney songs that you're playing with the big boys now. they certainly could have just taken everyone and taken them everywhere from a demi-plane to another plane to even just, like, put them in a box somewhere with magic, or just disintegrated them all, or, like, has dominated all of them and is building an army of whoever they can get a hold of, or, like, this kind of then comes to the point where certainly, like, Jubilost could just start rattling off all of the, like, worst case scenario nightmare reactions that we all have in real life when, like, a kind of bad thing happens and we go off the deep end. It's me, I go off the deep end. But, like, they're all on the table and plausible.
Okay. And did you say earlier that these, like, power crystals, did you say they have, like, a nefarious intelligence?
They can.
Okay.
Certainly, like, it's not necessarily the case, but in some cases you can, like, items of this power exist that will be imbued either with much how one might make an artificial intelligence, like, its own degree of brain power, or, like, the brain power of someone who has long passed, or, dare I say, staring at the Discord, like Mr. House themselves, that kind of thing. Or it could be just so, like, pulling in a certain direction in terms of, like, moral alignment that it corrupts the will of even someone like Artoris, who would get this, and then over time you'd see a gradual, or sometimes just, like, on the spot, shift from the values that they possess to values that more closely align with either the item itself or the, like, planar energy of it.
Well, like I said, that was kind of my last trick up my sleeve. So give me a bit to process that.
Okay, sure. Alrighty, Jubilost is kind of in the same boat, I imagine. Like, it's a sudden realization that you have entered the major leagues without necessarily, like, you're trying to get there, but you're on chapter 1 of the book, and then, like, oops, here's chapter 8, that kind of thing. On that note, if, like, I don't necessarily want to, like, immediately influence what the party wants to do, but it does dawn on Ionia that, like, maybe it's not the best time to go on a road trip, or at least the people who are leaving should be made aware that, like, something really big is happening.
Oh, I thought they had already left. Oh, well, I suppose I should go run them down then.
It's certainly, like, to catch everybody up with it, that, like, best case scenario, you could either meet them, like, in Thornburg, as it's like you come this way or you are going that way, or, like, as you're here and they're packing up, just wait, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Certainly, like, it should be brought to the council's attention, like, now.
Since Kalira is still here with me, I'll get Kalira first.
Oh, is that my cue?
Yep.
What do you want? Are you here to complain about the guard too?
Yeah, they're awful and I hate their masks. I'm just kidding, I love them, they're amazing. I have made a very big discovery that I think warrants, at the very least, immediate knowledge of the entire council. Seeing as how the rest have already departed for Thornburg, I'd like you to accompany me after them.
Okay, well, what is this emergency that's got you so upset?
You remember when the kobold went missing?
Vaguely.
It's more or less in regards to that. I think we may all be in a lot of danger.
You think we're all going to disappear?
Jubilost turns the corner and just, yes! He's like been sweating bullets this whole time, and his hair dye is like running down the sides of his face. He's shaking. He's not good. His people you have taken look at him with concern, and he kind of like gets himself together. I don't know exactly what it is we saw, but it's a lot. I think it's very safe to say that he spreads his arms wide-ish. Little slice of heaven here has garnered the attention of much bigger slices of much different places.
Well, it's only a matter of time. This is why I've been so adamant about beefing our forces. Well, my maidens aren't really built for magical things, so I guess that means you all are very much in trouble. Not me, though. But
you didn't teach them your anti-magic tricks? That seems like a really good skill set to teach.
Anti-magic tricks? What do you mean?
I mean, don't you, like, I don't know, cup magic heart? Isn't that what you said when you tried to attack me?
Oh, yes. I never really thought of it as being anti-magic. I like the sound of that. Alright, let's go. Let's find the fop and his crew.
I mean, our crew, but sure. Okay, let's go. Oh shit, was Jubilost with the rest of them?
No, they haven't left yet.
Oh,
Right.
gotcha. The map is a little confusing to me. So Tommy, did you say they were already on the road or still here in Concordia? Or, I mean, still here in Ruston?
It is. Sorry, my computer crapped itself. The best way to do it is, like, time in the Kingdom turn is wibbly wobbly, so I'm not as, like, adamant on it happened on this day period thing. It is probably best to just, like, we catch them where it is the most convenient.
Right, but okay. We can meet them on the road. Alright, you know what that means. Ash Maidens, you all have the run of Rooston. Let's go. Get on a horse.
Okay.
We have horses, don't we?
And then the two of you catch up with everybody else at, I imagine if Jubilost is here when this is happening, it's probably still like either in the pack up stage or the like, I have to go do this really quickly. I'll catch up with you at this place. That kind of thing.
Okay, gotcha. I imagine we're probably riding pretty fast so as to try to head them off.
Okay, sure. So then like
Blood Song on Storm
Thornburg then?
yeah, or like here-ish, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And indeed, as the caravan makes its way, the sounds of horses galloping down from Rooston catches up to the caravan.
Song and Gold Stepper.
As Kato hears the approaching horses, he immediately calls to Senya. Who's that's converging upon us? Is it bandits? Weapons ready.
No, it's just Ionia and Kalira and the rest of their retinue.
Oh, they had a change of heart. They want to come with us.
No, what are they doing here? They need to be...
We don't want to go with you.
I make Ionia regent for like 1 minute and she leaves her post.
Barely. Come on, man. I'm still in Concordia.
You're super loud. I heard you way over there.
So have we? I guess we'll
We'll stop the
Yeah, the carriage.
yeah, we'll stop the carriage. Kato will get out as the two approach. What is it?
Okay,
I
well,
take it
first
this
off,
must work.
when you're going to attack bandits, you shouldn't shout at them that you're going to attack them.
Yeah, that's so stupid. Why would you do that?
Terrible tactics.
You wouldn't have been able to hear me. I was calling to Senya, who's
Heard.
right beside us.
He is a very pointy deer.
I feel like he
I
did
have
it.
like bonuses to perception, so
Okay.
I mean, would it?
And
I mean,
the
as a
DCs
matter
of
of
perception
tactics,
to
I
hear anything are like
I s-
ridiculously low.
When I saw you guys as basically when I heard the sound of the horses and you guys were basically specks on the horizon is when I called to Senya to get ready
Miguel
for.
has the right of this one. How is he supposed to relay an order at all if he can't tell her? Hand signals.
That's what you do.
all I'm saying is shout it across the horizon. Okay. Anyways, I looked into the soot scale situation as per your request, and it's big. It's really big. Do you guys want me to like recap it, or were you all paying attention? Everybody good?
Out of character.
Out of
Just
character.
just give the TLDR.
Okay, long story short, years and years and years ago, Eobarians were here. They had these magic crystals. They're really powerful. Somebody is using them to make people disappear and do awful things, and they seem to be targeting us.
And you believe this had something to do with the missing kobold?
I know it did.
You know it did.
Jubilos is kind of like emphatically nodding in time.
Killer shrugging.
Is this also the same reason behind Divicos' disappearance, would you imagine?
I mean, Divicos felt different. Am I wrong in assuming that that was something different? Or at least it was differently? It may have been still the same artifact that caused that, but the circumstance of his disappearance felt very different than the disappearance of the kobolds.
Yeah,
They are-
best case scenario on that is like if they're connected in the way of like someone did a thing with their own magic. Someone then did another thing with an artifact's magic. So like they could be, but it's like there's not enough evidence to clearly state that.
Hard to say if they're related. If they are, I will say Divicos felt more like a friendly invitation type situation, whereas the kobolds, it burned my hands, it made my nose bleed, I was speaking in tongues. It was apparently not a very pleasant experience for them.
I mean, that only makes sense. The kobolds, if this is truly targeting us, and the kobolds were our allies, where Divicos was clearly our enemy, so...
Oh.
Well, he was.
Was he?
He was still sort of working in alignment with. I don't know. He was weird.
He wanted to see
Where-
wanted our
do you have-
settlement gone.
Do you have a sense? Well, he also wanted all our enemies dead too.
What's
so-
weird though is that if Divicos did make a choice to go along with whatever thing that happened, he did so at the expense of Tree Raider, which maybe I'm overestimating the closeness of their relationship, but it would be difficult for me to leave Minora behind.
Yeah,
It's a fair
I won't
point.
put anything past that man, though.
I would look to Senya, I would say, and ask, what do you think?
You know nothing of Divicos. His intent for this land was to preserve, and which is why he was so upset with Cato. I mean, he was upset with Cato for a myriad of reasons, and he was upset with me. for bringing you all here, but I brought you all here because I have trust in all of you, in your martial prowess and in your worldly knowledge to stamp out the Tiger King threat. But this, what Ionia described was different.
Do you think he would willingly leave behind Tree Razor?
I don't think he would.
He certainly seemed calm in the vision I had of him.
Do we know the source of these magical attacks?
Well, presumably, somebody has gotten their hands on one of these powerful artifacts. Probably somewhere nearby. I'm not really an expert on this. This is all kind of new information to me, so bear with me here.
Do you have
honestly,
a general idea of which direction it was coming from?
Well, not exactly, but remember those birds from before? Actually, I don't remember if I told you guys this or not. But when I saw the thing with Divicos, there was these birds that were flying kind of in that direction. Our map confuses me, so I'll point in the direction of the birds.
Yeah.
The mountains.
Oh,
This
undead birds.
Or the hills, I mean, whatever you call them.
They were like these undead, I don't know, like carrion birds, ravens, something
Ravens,
like that.
yeah.
Oh no, that wasn't the Divicos thing. That was the
That was the.
That was the
that's-
sycamore.
yeah.
That's
that was
yeah, the whole sycamore. But it was before the Divicos thing.
So that's actually that might not be related. Maybe it is. Who knows? That's it. I guess we don't really have a reason for thinking that was related.
Well, it was assuming Divicos was taken, then it happened in the same general vicinity as the deaths of our previous guards. Given that Tree Razor was in Thornburg.
Well, sure, but I mean, a lot of things have happened in this area. We lost a cart here. We had, I don't know, a number of
Well,
things
sure, but those
have
two
happened on
events
this road.
happened in relatively close proximity time-wise.
I'm just saying it's something
It's loose, but it's
I don't actually know. I don't really have any actual reason for thinking those are connected.
Do we have any other leads?
Oh, also, I'll point this direction. There's weird floating rocks over there. So that might also have something to do with these artifacts.
wait, where are these floating rocks?
Toward the mountains.
Generally in
In
like
the-
this direction.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, very impressed that you were able to put all of this together, Ionia.
You really should just expect as much from me. I'm very smart.
Very smart, yes. Even smarter than Kalira.
Have the tunic.
You got that tunic to prove it.
Have many good qualities.
So we're under attack by enough of this, and we're under attack by magical assailants, and our two leads are a flock of undead birds that proceeded south and floating stones to the east. Is that all we have to go on?
Yes, it's quite pitiful.
Yeah,
I think
it's been.
let me know when there's something I can cut in half.
You should. This is good. We will. I mean, both of these leads
I will
deserve
say-
following up on for sure, because we have nothing else to go by. But until we have something more substantial, I don't think there's much we can do at this very moment. So
Don't-
say
just
that
want to-
I think whatever this is very, very powerful, and we should not rush hastily into anything we're not prepared for.
Yes, I
actually agree. We should be focusing on increasing our strength. So whatever this is shows its face, we'll be prepared. There's no sense in trying to suss out whatever this threat is. It'll show itself in time.
I think
Well,
I agree with you on that because they have the power to just zap away the entirety of our civilization here.
yeah,
And
if
then all people will do
strength in
nothing.
numbers, if strength in numbers was of any concern, they wouldn't have like vanished the entire kobold population overnight without so much as a struggle.
Yes, but they went for the kobolds and not us directly. There has to be a reason for that.
They're probably toying with us. I think this is exactly the kind of enemy that we do need to approach ourselves, or they'll just keep on messing with us from a distance.
They deprived us of a golem army by blinking the kobolds out of existence as well. That's worth noting.
We could be, by doing so, we could be playing right into their hands, walking right into some trap that we're not ready to handle.
Perhaps,
but if we know it's a trap, we have an advantage.
Perhaps we should continue on with our proposed journey instead of viewing it as a triumphant victory lap, as maybe a patrol just to see the towns. Might be worth going up and checking on Nettleless Crossing and the Sootscale estates as well.
Jubilos kind of nods at this. He's still a little, like, he's obviously pretty shooken up. But, like, Artoris says this, he kind of just still staring off into space, nods a couple times.
However, we cannot panic the people either. If we come through all serious and, like,
grim,
giving the impression that, you know, the world, there's impending doom upon them, I mean, it's just going to create, you know, unrest and panic.
I think it's possible to present ourselves as jovial and light while still being on alert.
But I think the main purpose of this expedition should still remain intact. It's to see these new settlements firsthand, as and to meet our new citizens and our new people who have recently, flocked here and, you know, relocated their lives here within our borders. You know, we owe them our meeting. And yes, this threat is definitely dire, and we should certainly have a secondary objective where we, you know, can make sure that there haven't been any other mystical, you know, sabotages or anything that's been happening anywhere else. So yeah, it's certainly worth investigating. With that said, Ionia, you are the best when it comes to rooting out
time and place, child.
What was that?
I was telling Ionia that there's a time and place for this sort of thing, and delivering apocalypse news seems to be not the right time.
It is always the right time for confidence, my dear Taurus.
Apocalypse, yeah, impending apocalypse.
Anyways, as you were
I was just saying, so I'm gonna leave it to you to see if we can. I mean, you've definitely, you know, hit the tip of the iceberg here. We know that there's something out there that is, you know, dangerous, but we have no leads. So keep at it. Great job so far, but your work is far from finished.
Careful.
It might be worth considering proceeding as a group, not as a political gesture, but if only for a security measure. If we have indeed made enemies out of anyone and they're coming to do away with us, in particular, you out here without the full party might be a tempting.
Well, I think it's
and you two have already. You two have already all the way up here as well. Though we should have someone back at the capital, so perhaps.
What are you talking about? Balkan's there.
Doesn't do much, but he's there, I suppose.
Walken does literally everything.
Meh, well.
Behind the scenes.
Perhaps Jubilost could return. Grinluke is
thinking.
handling everything at the temple.
Just potions.
All right, I hereby transfer the position of regent in our absence of the capital from Ionia to Jubilost. While we are gone until we return, you have the capital.
He nods. Doesn't really say a whole lot of much, is still just kind of staring off into space. Perlavash comes out from his backpack and like boop the snoots on Jubilost's chin. He doesn't really respond.
Don't burn it down in our absence, please.
He just looks up and glares at you.
I understand this is a lot to take in. Are you doing okay?
He, after Kato says what Kato says, he turns and rides off.
Bye.
Don't worry, Fop. You hurt his feelings, but the maidens will make him feel better, or they'll beat his face in. Either way.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well then.
Are his friends after all?
Could we consider the Nettles Crossing stop as well as the Sootscale Estates as part of our itinerary?
I think that's a good idea.
Especially if that's the direction of the floating stones, whatever that means.
Stones. So
out of character, is that still within a month?
Ish.
And then over and then.
Yeah, should be. Because there being roads there, you can get there pretty fast. Roads and like now that you have a militia that would number roughly in the thousands-ish, depending on like who is on duty and who is like whose weekend at the guard it is, you know, like the roads are pretty actively patrolled now, at least as far as like the kingdom goes. No one really wants to go here anymore because of like how close that puts you to the border with Restov, and like they've fortified the trading post. But these are like Squad can consider the boundaries of Concordia safe, and like you can travel pretty fast.
We have a road out to the east and a road heading north, and no way to connect them currently.
First to Thornburg, then.
Okay. So then
that is also the fork. So
it doesn't take a whole heck of a lot of time to get there. If you everyone just got hit with pretty big news. There's not really anyone here who like there's no one with stern gaze, for example, at Thornburg. So there's not anyone who's gonna like be able to auto sense motive, like something weighs heavily on the king's shoulders, that kind of thing. That said, bluff checks are I'm gonna go ahead and ask for bluff checks from everybody.
Ouch.
Just
how long are we staying here?
A day in each town.
Oh,
Kalira's just
Kalira's gonna spend most of her time going to the nearest tavern and getting drunk.
Got it.
Hey, welcome to Concordia. Buy me a drink.
Everyone just kind of looks up. Actually, no, Kalira, you break off from the group, and there are a couple of kids playing in like not necessarily in the middle of the road, but just kind of like running around playing, and then you turn off and they see you, and both of the children react really like they're terrified of you. They start screaming and they run. They make it, I'm gonna say, about like 30-ish feet before their parents come and like scoop them up and like comfort their children, and like the parents back away into their like homes carrying these kids, but they don't ever take their eyes off you, and they don't ever turn their back. They just slowly back away.
Oh
yes.
My.
You have nothing to be afraid of. Unless you do. Then you're right to back away.
Are you saying this out loud?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Don't need to threaten the citizenry.
Didn't
Clara,
threaten
thank-
anyone. Didn't threaten anyone.
Suppose I don't need that bluff check anymore. There's definitely something else on the people's minds. And into the inn you go. You are recognized as a member of the council, so you sit down and the drinks are pushed your direction. People here are also at least wary of you. You don't necessarily get the full you go into the saloon, the guy at the piano quits playing abruptly, but there's probably at least the whole room takes a collective as you walk in, sort of thing.
I'll take off my helmet and slam it on the bar and quaff the first drink.
Okay.
Then look around and say, "What's wrong in Thornburg? Don't you any of you know how to have a good time, loosen up? Someone sing a body song or something. You take off your top. Let's have a good time."
Start singing what was that Barley song?
Body.
Bardi.
No,
I'll start-
B-A-U-D.
Bardic tune. Minoru will howl with me. It'll be bad.
This is why I didn't want to bring Kalira along, by the way.
It wasn't that bad.
So Ionia shows up on Kalira's heels. The situation kind of remains awkward, but people try to go on. They don't have the ability to stop you. They wouldn't try to stop you because best case scenario, they're exiled from their new home. Worst case scenario, they're in danger. Then
I'm sorry.
People just kind of pick back up and in general try to ignore the presence of you, with the exception of the barkeep, who is just going to make sure you constantly have a full mug.
Oh,
Kate-
you are
Kato is going to stand up. Kato's going to stand up, and he's going to take a look around the room. And the first table that makes eye contact with him, he's going to walk over to and start talking to.
Okay, so is it now the whole squad is going straight to the tavern then?
Oh,
Apparently.
I thought we were all in there.
Because I heard Kalira is going to break
Kalira.
off and go get drunk. Then Ionia shows up
Gotcha.
right after. You certainly can.
I thought we were all going.
Yeah.
The whole party definitely witnesses the children afraid of Kalira bit.
I probably would have been inclined to nudge Kato in the direction of reassuring the families that looked scared of Kalira, rather than go into
Yeah.
I was gonna say the song that I'm singing is going to be something along the lines of not needing to fear the what are you? Warden? Marshal?
Warden.
Reaper?
Scary lady. Hag.
It'll be about how the law protects the people and things like that, That is some old abbot tune, maybe.
That were
What? There's nothing about breasts or anything in that song. Sing another one.
But yeah, so Kato's basically just going to say please excuse her crusty exterior. Those captain of the guard types that can, generally take their job very seriously. She's rough around the edges, but she's, soft in the middle.
okay.
That came out weird.
Put a
But to
diplomacy
me,
check
I'm
out.
not.
As we now
Asking for
seem
that.
to understand that Kalira is an eclair. Okay, yeah, it's generally well received. You notice both of the children are the swords they're not made correctly. Basically, just you get a bit of wood and shape it like an Aldori dueling sword, but they're both wearing the Fable Kid My First Sword, right, on their hips, and they see you and they ooh and they ah, and the parents look at each other and they nod and just, we're sorry, there are rumors,
What rumors? What kind?
People
Do tell.
people say that the reason the kobolds are gone is because, well, the warden, she got mad one day.
Kato lets out a hearty chuckle. What a funny story. Kalira, you give her too much credit. She's a tough lady, I'll give you that, but there's no way would be capable of such a feat. No, we are currently. It saddens us all, the disappearance of the kobolds. We are, rest assured, we are doing everything we can to investigate where they have possibly have gone. But we are here to make sure that nothing like that happens to any more of our loyal citizens. That sword, he kneels down to the one child. Very good craftsmanship. May I have a look?
He nods and yeah, and like pulls it off the like little crappy leather sheath that is like his ye old Renfest sword, pulls out, hands it to you. It's, for what it is, it's not bad. It's basically just made of one piece of wood that has been carved to resemble an Eldori dueling sword. The paint has chipped away in several spots where like the blade has contacted probably things it shouldn't have, like go mock sword fight and then like whap a column in a building, or like where you hit some other kid's sword and the paint was going to chip sooner or later. Anyway, there's also several like little nicks in the wood up and down from, again, just similar kids playing with toys kind of thing.
He looks at it and he's like, reminds me of when I was a kid. Hands it back to the kid. He then removes his the scabbard from his belt. Doesn't pull the blade from the scabbard, leaves it within the sheath, but holds it sort of horizontally across and places the hilt into the hand of the child. When you get older, maybe you can get one of these guys.
His eyes go real big.
But when you're older, of course. Until then, be good. Be good to your parents. Listen to what they say. And keep practicing.
Senia just pops around the corner. Keep practicing. They smile, nod. They start squirming. Parents set them down, and they both like draw their swords, quote unquote. And then they go into, I don't want to call it crane style because they obviously haven't practiced well enough, but the motions are similar-ish to Kato's fighting style, as much as a kid can do, and they begin sprinting around like back where they were before they saw Kalira. The parents seem relieved. The weight has been taken off their shoulders. Suppose I should also, I did ask for bluff checks. That means I gotta do some secret rolls. They also don't seem to, like, they don't act any differently around you than you would expect. So clearly for Kato, like, the illusion of everything's fine and we're just hanging out here and we've come to see this new town has been maintained.
Very good.
And so then
he'll restrap his sword belt back to his waist as the kids run off to play. He'll just nod to the parents, and I guess Arcturus was here. He'll just kind of look at Arcturus for any. Is he getting bored?
You would know, having watched me and with my bluff check, because I don't lie, so I'm very good at hiding my intentions or what's on my mind, and so my mannerisms are pretty like stern right now. I'm in an inquisitor mood, and I'm kind of looking around, trying to see if anything is wrong or evidence of anything. So you don't want me talking to people right now if our objective is to convince them that everything's okay. So when you look at me, I will kind of like look back and then look to them and just say something like, Abadar be with you. And I'd leave it at that. I'd continue to sort of like look around.
Glare at people.
Just
stern gaze the hell out of people. Yeah.
Arcturus is just stuck in like fight or flight at this point, I have to imagine. Just looks around, doesn't say anything, looks around. Some people see this as he does that, and like,
yeah, I don't lie.
They lean in, whisper at each other. A little bit of like back and forth. You don't really overhear the conversation, but Abadar be with you, there are ripples.
Well,
Where's Sanya at?
What's Senya doing? Yeah.
Senya's just kind of hanging out on Grom.
People are generally happy to see you. The barn tree raiser destroyed has been, like, mostly put back together between here and there. It's like they probably need to, like, finish up the roof and stuff, but the structure itself from where a mastodon got cornered in a barn and then tore the hell out of that barn has been, like, repaired.
I hope no more major disturbances happened around here after we led the mastodon out of the town.
Well, boom, boom, boom. Okay. A couple people, when you say this, they look at each other and they nod, but one of them, you recognize him, maybe not by name, but by, like, at least by face. He was there for the tree raiser incident, and he kind of, like, you say that, and he looks up at you and just, why? Did something happen somewhere?
No, just making sure that there's order and peace around these parts. These are, after all, the king's lands, and we're here to survey and meet the people.
Nods really slowly. I should get back to my barn. It's not going to thatch itself, you know.
I see you've almost rebuilt it.
It's been our priority since a monster came through and tore it to shreds, you understand.
Well, he should no longer bother you.
Whatever happened to him?
Sorry. Kato made a funny off screen and it just threw me off. We've led them far. We've led him far away from here. He will no longer be a threat to these lands. He's under care of people that I trust, so he shall no longer come here.
Nods. They kind of, like, go back about their business and don't say anything further.
Kato walks up to Senya. So this is where the infamous mastodon issue happened.
Tree raiser.
Yes, well, he shall no longer bother anyone. Dazia. Is her name Dazia?
Yeah.
Dazia and her people will take good care of it.
Corralling a mastodon out of a... What was it, like a barn house or something?
Yeah.
What was...
Think like Herschel's barn in The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
That was the scene I had in my mind, except a horde of zombies replaced with mastodon.
What I would have given to bear witness to such an event would have been entertaining, to say the least.
Yes, well, it took some effort.
I imagine, but you did it. So, and you said you left it with
Dazia.
Yeah, her. Well, I hope she doesn't let it roam free. She is a little. The tree raiser has, has been spotted in that area previously, running amok by himself. So.
Yes, well, a creature of that size needs a lot of lands to roam.
I can imagine, and a lot of grass to eat, or whatever it is mastodons eat.
Suffice to say, Dazia made a promise that they will keep an eye on him and watch over him, and they'll make sure that he does not encroach on the settlements.
I trust Dazia. I'm sure she will keep him secured. All right. Well, so this is a pretty as Kato is sort of like seeing the various parts of the city. There's obviously the tavern is I would imagine the biggest building?
Or it's probably the biggest public building.
Public building, yeah.
Other than that, you've got like people's private barns. The tavern probably has like, most of these towns have started as like, I'm gonna set up a little way station because it would make a decent profit to stop people coming along this road, and then houses like spring up around them, so the inn is the focal point. There's probably not even really like a center of government in these places, and the town itself is probably run by a local like headman kind of figure who, in both of these towns, I think it would make sense to me for it to be the first person who got here and decided to do a thing. In this case, the innkeepers.
Very Wild West.
Yeah.
Cato looks to Artoris. Not a bad kicking off point, to be sure, but we could definitely make some improvements around here.
I have faith that, assuming we're all not obliterated by magic disintegrator rays, that the town will certainly grow, especially given the close proximity to Rustin. Sort of still looking around suspiciously.
Cato pats Artoris on the shoulder. Don't worry so much. If we're all going to get disintegrated, it's going to happen, one way or the other. Stressing about it all day isn't going to make it any more or less painful.
Wow, we might be able to find something.
Sure.
Maybe I should start asking.
But
I think perception. Let me get perception from the Inquisitor.
Okay.
Okay, Jesus. That's gotta be like a 19 from a 17. Fair enough. Okay, followed by a sense motive.
Oh, this is his good one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what? A 2?
So it's like a 2 from him. Yeah. Plus 22. Fucking A. Okay, it's still wildly successful. As I don't need to ask for knowledge checks from my bard in Iron Fang Invasion, I don't need to ask for sense motives from Artoris here. You look up, as you're looking around, I posted up on one of the, like, the roof is hay and then runs up to like a triangle shape, and then there's like a wood beam at the top, and sitting on top of the wooden beam it's not particularly large. It's not like, it doesn't super stand out, this raven, as you see it, until like you realize something that like, you realize that you made eye contact with it, and it realizes that it made eye contact with you, and then immediately like picks its wings up and flies off. An animal wouldn't like you certainly could scare an animal, but make eye contact with the bird 100 or so feet away from you wouldn't do that. That would seem to inform Artoris that at the very least, the raven is intelligent. Most likely, also that the raven didn't want to be noticed.
Do I have any hope of... I assume it's gone, right? There's no chance of like following it or anything like that.
You certainly could. It's like, it's fast. It's literally as the crow flies scenario. It would depend on how fast you are.
I'm 40 feet per whatever.
Haste. Can you haste yourself?
It takes
That's a good
full round.
Point.
Actually. I had to go back and check a thing, but even the Arbiter is not quite fast enough.
I will definitely like take off running after it, if only to see the direction that it's going, until it gets out of my sight, basically.
Gotcha. Also, JK, I lied. I thought a Raven had a fly speed of 60. It has a fly speed of 40. You can keep up with it. You can keep up with it. The Arbiter could overtake it. It basically just is trying to get away from you. You keep up with it. It turns a corner and tries to like it is deliberately breaking line of sight. So it can try to like turn a different way, then disappear somewhere. There are a couple scenarios where it like tries to hide in a barrel or in someone's chimney or something like that.
I would have Arbiter try and restrain it.
Okay.
He can
Certainly.
overtake it.
Yeah, he would be fast enough. I guess to restrain it, we would be looking for like a CMB, or like if you want to just try to like attack it. Or actually, what about you could cast command on it.
Do I have that?
Arbiter does as a
Oh,
thrice a
yeah.
day.
Okay, yeah. Let's do that. Let's attempt to command the Raven to come over to, I don't know. Are we sufficiently huh?
It's like one word.
Oh,
Command
it's
is
a one-word
command isn't one word. Command is like in 5e it's one word. In Pathfinder it's like from 4 or 5 specific options like stop, approach, things like that. Well, I can just bring it up.
Yeah. So approach would be my command.
Alrighty.
To have it come to.
And so it does.
Forrest, what are you doing? See, Cato like is pretty fast on his own feet, so he's chases after when Artoris takes off. Cato, very concerned, takes off after him, obviously, because what would get the Inquisitor that bothered? As he catches up to you, as you're doing your little magical thing, he's going to exclaim, Artoris, what's gotten into you? What's going on? As he's huffing and puffing.
And by the time Cato turns the corner, the Raven turns its head, not like as a bird would like cock it. Whoop! Damn you, headphone! Like turn its head and cock it like a bird, but more so like deliberately turns its body to face Cato.
You're chasing.
There's an intelligence in this creature, and then I'll tell Arbiter to go. Arbiter, go fetch Ionia.
Okay. He
Arbiter will
nods and yeah.
I'm singing a song about boobs.
Classic.
Classic song.
Requested by Kalira.
While Arbiter's gone, I'm gonna ask Artoris, what makes you think this? Was it a crow?
It's a raven.
Raven.
Doesn't seem undead or anything, right?
No, you would be able to tell.
Okay. Trust me. The behavior on this bird. There's an intelligence here. We're being watched.
What's the crow or what's the raven doing now?
It's just watching you. Like it's just kind of like I'm hearkened back to another game where a bird stares at someone for too long, and I promise this is not intentional, but it's basically just staring at Cato. Just it hasn't moved, it's blinking, it's occasionally like ruffling its feathers or like hopping from foot to foot, but just staring you down.
Should I grab it?
I have it grabbed.
Well, you have it. Oh, you physically grabbed it?
Once it got to me, yeah.
Okay. All right. I thought it was just floating there. Okay, cool. I'm gonna like kind of eyeball it, but I don't think I see anything special because I'm not all that perceptive.
Can I detect magic on this?
Yes. First
Call
round.
back to session 1.
Indeed, it's finally panned out for him. Make a will save.
Oh shit.
Oh god.
Then a spellcraft check.
Okay. Will.
Make your best save. Okay, so you
Then a spellcraft.
Please. You cast the spell. Nice. And like I think this has happened to Artor. Yeah, it definitely has. The effect is the same as when you were down in the Sootscale Caverns. It's like pulling the plug on a magical stopper and the water hits you at 45 miles an hour. You're able to like withstand it, push forward as clearly a more powerful magical aura than you can manifest or deal with overcomes you. There's not a particular school of magic, more so make a second spellcraft check, actually. There are two things. Okay. Do you want to let the 15 stand?
No, we're at 244. I'll hero point it.
Hey, that's metagaming.
It's also important metagaming.
Got what I deserve.
And that's the
You
justice
did
service
get
for metagaming. So it's clear to Artoris from the, like, convalescence of auras, shall we say, engulfing this creature, that what you're looking at is a wizard's familiar. Much in the same way that if you were to point this at the Arbiter or Amalia's Dwemer Cat or Perlevash, or there's a lot of familiars in this game, any of those, you would get that same connection. There's clearly also some other auras on this, as is par for the course for a wizard who is like, who has a familiar and wants to get value out of them. That said, you can't exactly figure out what they are. You do know that I need to open the familiar page. A wizard, much as you have now through the Arbiter, gets a lot of value out in addition to just having a trusted friend, basically. Like, you would expect this particular creature to be probably smarter than anyone in Thornburg, short of the party. You would expect it possibly to be able to speak. You would expect it to, if like the master were to cast a spell with a range of touch, the master could declare the raven as the toucher, and it could fly forward and bop you and deliver a very powerful spell.
Okay.
It can talk.
Upon realizing that it's a familiar, at the very least, I would direct a question to it. Who is your master?
Doesn't say anything. It's still staring at Kato.
Hmm.
Well, unfortunately, my spells are not the best when they just don't talk. They're better at rooting out lies.
Arbiter
Artoris,
goes and grabs. Senia can also be roped back in at this point. If the rest of the Reclaimers would like to reconvene at like whatever back alley this bird has been wrangled up at.
Esker looks at Artoris. Why is he staring at me like that? Or why is it staring at me like that?
That's what we mean to figure out. This is a wizard's familiar. Oh, for me?
Yeah, or Kato could as well.
Mine's the big boy.
Yeah, could roll sense motive.
Oh.
Kato could give you a 32. And so damn. That was probably right up the... Yeah. Okay, cool. There is an intelligence in the familiar. There is an intelligence from the familiar of the familiar's master. It stands to reason that the bird probably recognizes Kato on sight as the King of Concordia. That from there, what it is doing presently is a little harder to say without peeking into its mind or speaking to it, but think like threat assessment, I suppose, would be the first thing. If Artoris is wise, Artoris has a lot of empathy, I have to imagine. If Artoris was that bird and the situation was reversed and Artoris is caught, learn everything you can about your enemies, their fighting styles, what they're carrying, the way they interact with each other, so on and so forth. It's just scanning the hell out of Kato right now.
You tried speaking to it, Artoris. It knows language. It knows our language.
It should. Seems to be a powerful familiar to a powerful wizard.
Kato's going to lean in towards the raven. If you want to go home to your master today, tell me what you're doing here. And I'm going to intimidate
Yeah.
Ah, come on. I'm gonna hero point that because it's 249.
Oh my god.
Oh, wow.
Started from the bottom, and this is where again everybody else turns the corner as Kato is saying this, and the bird is obviously riled up as you say this. It doesn't say anything, but like, I don't need to ask for one more sense motive. Artoris would be able to tell. The practice is at the very lightest end of the describing spectrum of what is happening here. You can take an animal and like the animal who is an animal doesn't necessarily have to consent to be like, now I am someone's familiar. It's afraid for its life, but it's not like, it's probably been afraid for its life for a long time for several other reasons. So like death threats just kind of exacerbate that fear rather than get the answer out of it.
So I'm getting the sense that it did not become a familiar due to a voluntary, like, hey, wizard, you're a good person. I want to be your friend.
Not like the scenario with you and Arbiter, no. Like more like,
Okay.
I want something that can fly. Come here. Whoop. Now you're smart and you work for me. Go do what I tell you. That kind of thing.
So it's just freaking out now.
Yeah, it's just super scared.
That's not the kind of thing we could dispel.
No. There are some ways to do that, but Dispel Magic is not one of them. You would need like very specific. Go ask your druid friend.
Well,
Kato throws his hands up in frustration at the lack of useful response and starts pacing back and forth. Where's Ionia?
They are like coming up behind you. As Ionia, Claricenia turn the corner, it begins scanning all three of them as well.
What's going on?
there was a wizard's familiar keeping watch over, well, spying on us, spying on the king directly.
Interesting. This reminds me, we were once told about a certain witch who used birds to keep tabs on people. Do you think this might be a connection to Amalia?
Did she use birds?
I guess we never actually got confirmation on that, but there was rumors about it.
That was one of the very first rumors Ionia picked up, yeah.
Oh.
There were, I don't remember the exact flavor text, but it was like, there be a witch in the woods, she's watching us through the birds. That kind of thing.
Or it could be two completely unrelated things. And just kind of like, by happenstance, people attributed that to Amalia.
Ionia, can you read this thing's mind?
I can't, but I can read its aura.
Okay. Which allows you to see alignment auras. It has a pretty strong evil aura, but that's all you get.
Mm.
Ooh.
This thing
Evil.
is evil. Very evil.
Well, we know of the Hell Knights. But they'd probably give a lawful aura than more than an evil.
You said it's a wizard's familiar. The Hell Knights we encountered recently, I highly doubt would be working with anyone who would have a familiar. Isn't that kind of what they're seeking to destroy?
Well, it depends on the...
Yeah, and at this point, if this was a Hell Knights familiar, like, dawns on Artoris that what probably would have happened was you would have grabbed onto a raven's legs, realized you actually grabbed an imp's legs. As the altar self ends, you get stung and it invisibles its way off. Also, it would have been invisible and you just never would have saw it.
Right, that's good. That's a good point.
Have you tried talking to it?
Yes.
How'd that go?
Not well.
It
Usually, familiars reserve their language for their masters, so...
Reserve their language, or as in they have a special language that just they and their master speak?
Some do. Which this is out of character. This one can speak, though, Tommy? It just is choosing? Okay.
Mm-hmm. generally speaking, that will depend on like the particular kind of familiar, and in fact a raven, as well as some species of like smaller burbs and things will, like, in addition to granting a bunch of bonuses to the caster, they also, like, in the familiarizing, gain the ability to speak.
I have a question. Would the act of the wizard creating the familiar in the terms previously described, would that like impose the wizard's alignment onto the familiar, or would the familiar like maintain their own personal alignment?
You would probably get more of the former, more of like, this would feel like the original caster's aura, that kind of thing. Or spellcraft check. As we now have a good segue back into that. Well, it's 2:55. Do you want to let it stay?
Yeah, I'll hear up on it.
Hey.
You love to see it. Okay, so what's more likely the case, as I go back and double check exactly how this works?
Isn't it crazy how we all get really good at things like in the 11th hour?
Yeah.
It's probably more along the lines of you are detecting not the familiar, but the familiar's master. You're not exactly sure how they're, like, you could pick it down to like 5 or 6 different spells. But the effect is the same. The master is currently watching all 5 of you through the eyes of the raven. It could be something as simple as using his own ability to scry on his familiar. It could be he cast a scrying spell on the familiar and like kept a feather at home or something to make it really easy. Or he could be like actively possessing.
Okay. Follow-up question, like out of character. Is there a way to forcibly break the bond between a wizard and the familiar, aside from killing the familiar?
Name that spell. I'm pretty sure it exists. I know there are a couple of prestige classes that can, like, traditionally speaking, you see a more, like, if you want the druid's tiger to turn on the druid, you can, that will function that way. Other than that, usually it's a, like, you gotta kill him.
Okay.
Or, like, the wizard could voluntarily do it.
Okay. I would like to go far out of... First off, I'm gonna throw something over the bird's eyes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to motion to the party that I'm gonna head out of its earshot.
I can't accompany you then because I'm holding it.
Shove it in a bag or something.
Just one person come with me.
I'll go with Ionia.
Okay. Then once we're comfortably out of earshot, I'm gonna say, I could do my, like, all-seeing eye type thing that I do. We could let the bird go, and I could try to follow it and find where it goes. Could lead us back to its master.
Could, yes, or could escape.
Or
Is it? So it's gathered intel on our location. Would it have to report that back, or are we already discovered by its master?
It's very likely that the master is receiving information in real time.
Wonderful. We should have blindfolded it earlier. Okay. Well, so killing it isn't going to save us any info, or prevent any intel from making its way back at this point.
Anything that it hasn't already gathered, but it also prevents us from being able to use it as a tool,
right,
to find it.
There's a risk, but I think it's our best shot at figuring out where this thing came from. Maybe.
I will say, if we kill it, wizard can just make a new familiar. It hasn't actually cost anything. So, I mean, I know it.
But at least it'll stop. But at least it'll stop spying on us for the moment. If we let it go, it could lead us on a wild goose chase. It could just go back to trying to spy on us, but from a different location where we can't see it. Like, who knows what? Like, it may not return back to its master at all. It might just continue doing what it was doing before we caught it. So, like I said, there's a risk involved, but I think it's worth taking that risk to let it. I do like the idea, though. I see no sense in. If only there was a way we could convince it to go home, like to ensure that it returns. There's no mystical mumbo jumbo you could put on it to would give it an urge to return back to its master.
I mean, I don't know what it is you think I do.
I don't know. Kalira says you're a witch, so I assume you can do witchcrafty stuff.
I'm not a witch. Amalia is a witch. I am not a witch. We don't do the same thing. I have a deep understanding of the arcane. I do not impose witchcraft.
Okay.
I would like to try something.
Though I understand the confusion, seeing as how she calls you fop, and that one is true.
Let's not go there. What is Arcturus trying in the meantime?
So based on well, out of character, I want to try and intimidate the wizard to release the bond on the familiar. And then I want to somehow communicate with the bird itself to maybe learn the wizard's location. What do we think of that plan? So I guess I'll just try it because I'm just sort of doing this.
I mean, it would take a lot of convincing to get a wizard to release their familiar, I imagine.
I feel good about my intimidate. So I'm first going to activate Channel Vic and use it on my spirit. It's +6 to intimidate. And then I'm going to activate Focus Scrutiny. Gives me a +5 on Intimidate. Then I'm going to have Arbiter use Touch of Law from his Emissary archetype to give me an automatic 11 on my D, which gives me a 36 on my Intimidate check. And I am going to tell the wizard that if you know what's good for you, you'll release this creature from its bond, and that we're coming for you for this affront to our dignity.
Oh my god.
Okay. Does anyone want to aid another, have anything to add to it, or
I could also have Arbiter use guidance, so +1 to that, 37.
Roger. Okay.
I mean, I guess Ione and I are out of earshot at this point, so we don't even know this is happening yet.
Okay. So it sounds like just Xenia, unless Kalira wants to throw in.
Help me intimidate, Kalira.
Why are you talking to a bird? I don't understand.
Remember, the wizard can hear through it.
He's dumb.
Oh, that's right. Look intimidating, and I'll pull the sheet off the eyes just to look at Kalira.
Oh, Kalira will say "boo."
Use your intimidating glare or something.
Okay.
Maybe that qualifies as an aid. I don't know.
I mean, it can.
Thank you, Kalira.
I mean, it's an intimidation check, right?
Just roll it up.
It's an intimidation check either way. Same. I use intimidating glare.
Well, it's 37, and then whatever I get from aiding from an aid. don't know how that works exactly.
He'd
Oh,
get a
he
plus
has to
2,
roll.
assuming.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay. And Senia wanted to add something?
Senia's got nothing in her toolkit in this situation.
Okay, fair enough. And I think that, in response, is where we're going to call it for today. Well, you guys will get it in about 5 minutes. Everyone else will get it next time on something that I thought would happen somewhere else, but I guess is happening here instead. Fun, good times had by all. Thank y'all for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. I like this group a lot. It's a very good group, but I'm about to hurt a lot of people. I will see you next time. Next time I'm going to hurt a lot of people. Say bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
You just threatened a powerful wizard.